but very, very creamy tomato soup and grilled cheese. And I think that we've really, I don't know if I'd say it's perfect because everybody's idea of perfect is different, but I think we've come pretty far in perfecting our grilled cheese and tomato soup. So I'm going to start off by making my soup. You can dice up your onion. It does not have to be too fine because the entire soup will be pureed once it's finished cooking. So don't go crazy mincing everything up. It's not important in this instance, which is nice. 2 tablespoons of olive oil go into a saucepan, as well as 2 tablespoons of butter. You don't want butter, you can skip it. It's certainly okay. Add your onion and start that sauteing. You need about 2 cups of diced onion for this. And then 3 cloves of garlic. They need to be smashed just a little bit to release some of their oils, but they also don't need to be chopped. In fact, these don't need to be chopped at all because just smashing them will release enough of the flavor to bring out the flavor in the soup. You want to get your onions translucent. So saute them for a few minutes. You can add some salt and pepper. To make this soup creamy without cream, I'm making a roux. So I'm adding 2 tablespoons of flour to my cooking onions and cooking that off just a little bit. You don't want any raw flavor here, so you want to cook your flour before you add your liquid ingredients, and that will add just a tiny bit of thickness and silkiness to the soup that replaces the need for cream, which I think is really, really nice. You can stir or whisk in your broth. It's 2 cups of broth. You can use vegetable broth. If you're not a vegetarian, you can use chicken broth. Start slowly, and that way you will avoid lumps by whisking and stirring and whisking and stirring. It's a little annoying, but it's worth it in the end because you don't want lumps of flour in your soup, though you are going to puree this, so I guess they would puree away, but if they lump up, then it loses all of its ability to help thicken the soup. This is 1 can of whole peeled tomatoes in their juice. The whole thing goes right in. You don't really need to do much to that because, again, it's going to be pureed. A couple sprigs of fresh basil, and everything needs to cook together until the onions are very, very soft and the tomatoes have cooked down a little bit more. That'll take about 20 minutes. So when your soup has had the chance to cook down, you want to puree it. I like to use a blender for this. If you have a stick blender, you can use that. You want to remove the basil sprigs before you do that. You can garnish with fresh basil when you eat your soup, and then you want to work in batches to blend it so that you don't make a mess. The hotter your soup is, it does expand in the blender, so you have to be careful. Don't fill it all the way. For safety, I'll stop there. You want to loosen the top so that the steam has a chance to escape, and what we like to do, you can either loosen it or completely take it off and then cover it with a towel, and that ensures that if something splatters up, it doesn't get on you, or hopefully. Hopefully. Good. I was using an abundance of caution. I had 0 problems. I'm just going to transfer this to a bowl so I can do the remaining batch. And then eventually you'll put it right back into the pot so that you can reheat it. Okay. Okay. Back into the pot, and you can see it's so creamy and there's no cream as promised. Okay, moving on to the grilled cheese. I'm using a cast iron skillet. You can use any heavy bottom skillet and heat it on medium. You want to get the pan nice and warm, but it shouldn't be too hot because you want to cook the grilled cheese low and slow. So preheat it on medium. While you're doing that, you can mix together 3 tablespoons of butter and 3 tablespoons of mayonnaise. We were very, very thoughtful about the process in the kitchen, and some of us were firmly in the camp of butter on the outside of the grilled cheese, and some liked mayo. for the tang that it gives. So we tested it with all butter, all mayonnaise, and a combination, and we ended up all really loving the combination that you get when you mix those two together. So that's the way that we wrote our recipe. If you're a firm believer in one over the other, though, you can use it, but give this a try because I think you're going to like it. I have 8 slices of bread here. I'm going to spread the mixture on the outside of all of the sandwiches, dividing it as evenly as possible. Putting a little bit on each, then I can always go back and add more, but I don't want one to lose out. That would be not nice. This is the key to deliciousness in grilled cheese, is this mixture on every slice. So don't skimp. Spread evenly. See? I don't like telling people to do like a teaspoon or a half a teaspoon of the butter mixture on the outside of each one because it seems overly specific, but you do want to make sure that each piece gets as evenly coated as possible. I like to do this on a baking sheet only because now I'm going to turn these buttered side down and that will just get on my counter. So instead I do it on here, and that way I can just transfer it right to the sink and wash it. We chose a combination of American cheese for its melty deliciousness and very sharp cheddar cheese for its intensity. We found that those were that was the best combination. Divide 6 slices of the American cheese evenly, so it's, 1.5 slices per. Like I said, the American is kind of important. Don't use the processed cheese spread or whatever that is. Get real American cheese. You can buy it at the deli. And then 3 ounces of cheddar cheese. You can use any flavorful cheese that you want that's a good shredding cheese. You don't want something that will get like crumbly or oily when it melts, but something with a really nice strong flavor is a great balance in a sandwich like this. And I know you're probably thinking like, oh, you're overthinking it, but you're not, because there's so much to a really great grilled cheese sandwich, and if it's not done well, it's just mediocre. And who wants to be mediocre? You guys don't. Have your skillet preheating on medium and then add the sandwiches. You can usually fit about 2 nicely into a skillet. You don't want to crowd it. And then cover it with a lid. What you're doing is weighing it slightly down. It doesn't have to be that big. It just needs to start compressing it and reduce the heat to medium-low. You want to make these low and slow and be patient. You'll probably want to rotate them a little bit in the pan so they cook evenly, and then you flip them halfway through. It takes about 7 to 9 minutes per batch. I feel like I know it says 2 per batch, but I want to get another one in there. I'm going to put another one in. This is when my impatience gets the better of me. Like, I want to make more. More. I'm sure that you only put 2 in there to ensure plenty of room for like moving them around, but give these a look. Just in time. That's perfect, but borderline like 30 seconds more and it would have been burnt. I like to press them down when I turn them over and then lid back on. I guess you can press them all with the lid. Now you're looking for golden brown and crispy, beautifully melted cheese, great cheese pull. All of those things are key. I am so ready to eat these sandwiches. They have to be. I've been patient, you guys. This is really patient for me. Okay, I'm gonna have one. And some soup. Really, this is good fall, winter, spring, anytime. Garnish with some fresh basil. Cut your sandwich. Obviously, you have to do it in triangles because it tastes better that way, right? And as you can see, it's like oozy, cheesy, amazing perfection. It's still too hot to eat, so I'm just gonna have a little bit of this soup first. I'm just eating this soup so that I can control myself from biting into that hot cheese sandwich and burning my tongue for the rest of the day. Okay, the soup is delicious. You guys should just make the soup even if you're gonna not make grilled cheese. But, if you're gonna eat it with this grilled cheese, you don't have to be vegan about it. I don't even know what to say. It's like heaven. It's a heavenly sandwich, and you guys, your lives are gonna be transformed because of this grilled cheese sandwich. I guarantee it. If you like recipes like this and you want more, make sure to click like and subscribe because we have plenty more where this came from.